Yep, it's just usually takes a second once you hit the start recording button.
Cool.
Yep, all good.
Okay, let's get started. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Eric Bajas. I'm the chairperson for buildingSMART Australasia. Before we start, would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that we're individually meeting on and pay my respects to the elders, both past and present. Welcome to our second update for the year. Hopefully you're all staying safe. Hopefully looking forward to running one of these in person one day in the future if we ever get there, but at the moment we'll do it virtual. So we were planning to do 3 of these a year, so this is the second one in the year, and then we'll do another one probably in a few months' time. For those of you who haven't been on the call before, this is our current board. So these are the smiling faces of everybody on the buildingSMART board at the moment. buildingSMART, for those of you who don't aware, but you're all members, so you should be aware. We're a not-for-profit, we're an industry-led organisation. We rely upon volunteers and we operate across Australia and New Zealand. buildingSMART International is global, but we operate here in, like I said, Australia and New Zealand. 2 key roles that buildingSMART has: establish and maintain standards for information exchange and construction and facility management, and advocate for open data exchange and collaboration. And you'll hear from a few of our board members today as we give our update. So I wanted to start just giving a quick update on our membership, and we'd like to thank all the members who have supported us to date, and that allows us to do more. It's a great sign that we're getting new members joining, and we're getting a lot of our existing members renewing or upgrading their membership. So that's really great. So it sort of supports the work that we've been doing. And we've also had quite a bit of a run on update members joining the Australian chapter. In saying that, I'd like to make special mention of Trimble, who have just signed up as a partner member of buildingSMART Australasia. So Trimble is signed up to buildingSMART on an international level, but they've also decided to become a partner member in Australia as well. So we're looking forward to working closely with them at a local level. I think it's great that we're getting the support from all of the major AEC software vendors, because they're an important stakeholder in ensuring the success of open standards. Just in terms of some of our tiered corporate members, so like I said, we've got Trimble now as a partner, we've got Austroads as a partner. Autodesk, similar to Trimble, they're signed up at an international level with buildingSMART, and they've just on the verge of renewing to become a gold member of buildingSMART here in Australia as well. So it's great that we're getting the support at both from those major AEC vendors at both the international level and at the local level, and working closely with them here. And from a silver perspective, CIMIC, who have just renewed their membership in BIM Consulting, and we've also got Dorofis and Revistu as silver members. Corporate members, so a whole lot of corporate members and a few new ones there. I don't know, Audrey, if there's any particular ones you want to mention, but we have had a few new corporate members also join. So that's
since
great.
Last time it's been the Sistra guys, so their mob is involved with us now as corporate supporters. So thanks for that if any of you guys are on the call. But everyone else is kind of original gangsters. So yep.
Great to have the support. And I thought I'd throw this up for those of you who were on the last call. We've sort of restructured our membership, and based on the discussion and feedback we had from our members, we decided to restructure in terms of what you get becoming a member, and at the different tiered members, and also provide just a general free membership just to allow people to join buildingSMART, or individuals to join buildingSMART at a sort of lower tiered level and get access to information, because I guess one of our focuses is to try and get to as many people as possible with what we're trying to advocate on behalf of our members. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Audrey, around membership.
Yeah, it's been a slow process just to figure out with our web guy what we wanted and what was included, obviously on a not-for-profit budget, but we are in the process of redoing our whole website. I don't know if anyone's been to the website recently, but it's a little bit tired, which we're very aware of, and we're super excited to be giving it a rejouge. So that's coming. And then with the individual executive membership, one of the reasons that we kind of upgraded from the $200 general membership to the only paid membership really for individuals being the executive is that with the new website, we're going to be offering a members portal that's going to have a lot of resources and a separate login for people who pay for that service. So we're really excited about that, and stay tuned.
Thanks, Audrey. One of the first things I wanted to touch on, I guess, one of our roles as buildingSMART is as an advocate for our members in promoting the use of open standards and open BIM. So, as well as advocating for the use of digital engineering in Australia and pushing to ensure that we're consistent and have a consistent national approach in both the public and private sector. So a way we do this is to ensure that we're representing our members through various industry groups and initiative working groups. And this is somewhere that we've probably focused heavily on in the last few months. There's been a lot of industry groups forming or initiatives forming around the areas of digital engineering or BIM or trying to standardise. So it's been great that because we're a not-for-profit and independent organisation, we've been able to sit on a lot of those organisations, and I guess being across them all, it allows us to tie the dots and bring those different initiatives together. And I'll call out a couple of those on the next couple of slides. But since the last update, I guess some of the greater involvement we've had, probably a bit more with Transport for New South Wales, and we're in the processes of formalising a bit more of a formal engagement with TFNSW. They've had approval for that, so we're just in the final approvals of getting that sorted out. Working with Infrastructure Australia and feeding into, I think, the Infrastructure Australia plan strategies about to be released in a couple of weeks. So we probably can't say too much on that till it's fully released, but there's a big component in there around digital and the drive to digitise the industry in Australia, particularly on infrastructure projects. So that's quite exciting, and there's been a lot of input in that from both buildingSMART. I know ABAB have had input into that as well. Andrew, I know, is on the call there. So we're really looking forward to that coming out. So it was great to have input into that. I will talk about a couple of the initiatives that are going on at the moment on the next couple of slides with RISB and the parliamentary inquiry that was recently put out, and some other initiatives with some of the universities and bits and pieces there. Aside from that, some of the MOUs that we have in place with organisations like GS1 and BIM MEP Oz and Ausroads, and some of the little initiatives with lean construction in terms of seminars and Future Infrastructure Summit, which Audrey will talk about as we go forward. One thing I did want to talk about was the recent parliamentary inquiry that was run by the federal government. So it was a standing committee that was developed to look at the procurement practices into government-funded infrastructure. So buildingSMART participated in a few areas there. We put our own submission in together with Lean Construction, which is that one on the left. You probably can't read that. There is a link on there, and we could probably post a link somewhere where you can access all of the submissions that were put in there. A lot of different industry groups put in submissions. From a buildingSMART perspective, we put our own in together with Lean. We contributed into the ABAB. There was quite a comprehensive submission put in by ABAB, by the Australian BIM Advisory Board. And then there was a joint submission put together by probably about, I think you can see the signatures on there, was that about 10, 13 or so different industry organisations looking for improvements in the way construction and is undertaken in Australia. So a lot of the major industry groups there signed up to that. So we were part of that submission as well. So it's good to see, I guess, a lot of the industry groups feeding that back, and the federal government actually looking out towards getting some input from industry into how we can improve the way a lot of our large infrastructure projects are pushed forward in Australia. Some of the other initiatives going on at the moment that we're contributing to, RISB, the Rail Industries Board, is an initiative going on at the moment to develop some digital engineering standards for rail, a national digital engineering rail standard. A draft was just issued in the last few weeks for comment, and that's sort of ongoing. And the other one that I'll call out that sort of I've been participating on as both a member of buildingSMART and coming from the construction industry is a little initiative in New South Wales that's been run by a couple of universities and the Centre of Work Health and Safety, looking at the use of BIM in health and safety management. So there's a link there that, again, we could post that we're contributing to. But there's all these little initiatives going on around the place at the moment, and it's sort of starting to pick up steam, I guess, in developing standards and trying to standardise the way things are done across the country. So it's good to see that happening at the moment. So now I'll pass over to Audrey to talk about the Future Infrastructure Summit, which we've got coming up in November. Audrey.
Okay, cool, gang. So we had really hoped to deliver this as a hybrid in-person and virtual this year after not being able to continue with putting it on last year. We had a really great venue in Brisbane put aside, and just with everything that's happening with lockdown all over Australia at the moment, pretty much outside of Queensland, we've decided to move forward with just offering it in virtual format. So we're really excited to do this. We've done webinars and things in the past, but we've never really offered kind of a large scale virtual summit before. So essentially what it's going to look like, we're going to have a few different streams just depending on how all the speakers from all over the world come together. We've put out a lot of kind of curated invitations to speakers from all over the world that it's been the result of our committee essentially with Lean Construction Australia, New Zealand. That's who we always collaborate on this event with. Just kind of looking at industry leaders all across Lean, Open BIM, open standards, digitization, yeah, really trying to think outside the box for who's going to be engaging and interesting. So we haven't figured out exactly what all the streams are going to look like yet, but we'll have a couple. And through the day, we're going to have the presentations and there'll be panel discussions, question and answer. We're going to try and make it as interactive as possible. The first lot of early bird tickets are on sale now. So we're going to send around this PowerPoint after the call today, and all the links and everything are in there. But yeah, it's taking place on the 3rd of November. It's going to be virtual, so hopefully we get people from all over Australia, New Zealand, and the rest of the region tuning in. We're using Webcast Cloud to do it, so it's the first time that we're going to be using this platform, but it seems like it's going to be really great opportunity for sponsorship and, you know, people who are supporting this event to get their information out there. We're going to have digital goodie bags and things like that. And then on day 2, this is going to be put on if we're able to move forward with it at the QUT Business School. Look, that's going to be more of like an invitation style kind of roundtable discussion, hoping to have a few higher ups from government and within industry, just chatting all things about what's really going on in the industry. The idea here is this going to be kind of like a closed door style conversational piece where people can kind of say a bit off the record, hopefully not have to get as much company clearance for things like the presentations and slideshows, just a bit more casual and raw. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it, and you'll be getting communication about this soon. We've only just decided that we're going to go virtual with it in the last week and a half. So we've just kind of been working behind the scenes at how we're going to change gears there and make that happen. So that's it from me.
Thanks, Audrey. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Yeah, we were looking forward to an in-person session. So what we've decided now is to throw everything at a really good virtual session and hopefully still have that second day where we can have that really good discussion with the roundtable. So thanks, Audrey. And I'll go over to, I don't know who's going to go first, Jim or John, just to give an update on IFC and particularly IFC 4.3.
Thanks, Eric. This is Jim Plume. I'm just going to do this very quickly because I know we're pressed for time. But really the key announcement here is that the IFC 4.3 extension for infrastructure has now been published. It's in the form of a draft production standard at the moment. It's out for voting within the buildingSMART community, and it will hopefully be approved and then finalised. So so that's exciting news. It covers the domains of buildings, bridges, ports and waterways, road, rail, and tunnels is in train at the moment, so to speak. It's not quite there, but it'll be there by the end of the year. So you can see there. Oh well, we've jumped ahead. That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, so you can see there the input into it. It's a final standard, and it will go for ISO approval, hopefully by the middle of 2022. This is a timeline that I've been using for a while to explain what's been going on. So early 2020, it achieved candidate standard status. It's now gone through a test case software validation process and a harmonisation of most of the properties. That work was completed pretty much by the end of June. It overflowed slightly into July. And as I say, it's now up for Standards Committee voting. But there's still some outstanding work that needs to be done. And in particular, that's to develop what we call base MVDs, or MVDs for certification purposes. for software certification, and that work will probably, or it's starting at the moment, it'll probably aim to get completed by early next year. But that will run in parallel with the process of taking IFC 4.3 to the status of an ISO standard. Yeah, so here's a timeline that shows all of that. So it's been submitted as the production standard, and the ballot has occurred, and ISO which should come out in mid-2022. Thanks, Eric.
So I think, Jim, am I right in saying that once it's a production standard, that's when the vendors will probably start looking at implementing? Is that right? They don't have to wait till it's an ISO.
No, that's a vendor decision, of course. Some of the big vendors tend to hold off until it's much more locked in ISO format, and that's a frustration for the industry, I think. But many of the smaller vendors, particularly in the infrastructure space, are already busily implementing it. A very important part of the testing validation phase was engagement with software vendors, and we had dozens who were contributing to that work and developing unit tests and starting to implement it to prove that it can be done. Now this actually illustrates the process. We had, on the one hand, storylines developed by industry partners, and we, on the one side, which essentially validate that the proposed extensions do the right things from an industry perspective. And on the other side, we had the unit tests, which are developed by software vendors that verify that the extensions do things correctly, do things right. So it's kind of a subtlety use of words there, but the two sides of the coin ensure that what we've got is a viable, implementable and useful extension covering those domains.
And John, I don't know if you want to give a bit of an outline of some of the unit testing that was done.
Yeah, so there are various domain experts and clients and software vendors around the world that have been busy testing the standard, as Jim explained, over the course of this year. There was one primary project, there was a secondary one here in Australia as well, but the main one was sort of a collaboration with EIC and Transport for New South Wales and 12D Sequent and a few other software vendors. There was a site picked in Sydney where a fictitious project was developed in either civil 3D or InfraWorks, comprising a couple of roads with a bridge and a tunnel. And then we started testing the exchange of information between, say, designers and contractors and clients to use IFC to facilitate that. So here you'll see a 12D image where they've imported some geological data from Sequent, and then overlaying that with a reference design. So we've been testing the exchange of alignments, some concepts like boreholes and these kind of aspects. So this project's still ongoing. So I think that if others are interested in participating, that we'll be broadening the scope of who's involved with this shortly. So you can get in touch if you want to learn more about it or participate in it.
Thanks, John. Now I'll hand over to Don to give an update on, I guess, BSI on the international level and what's happening with the awards. Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Eric. So, yep, the International Awards program kicked off earlier this year in July mainly, and what was really great to see this year in the Australasian chapters, we were oversubscribed with jurors. Normally, you know, we've had a lot of challenges getting enough people, and particularly technically focused people that could contribute meaningfully to the judging. But we ended up with 16 jurors, and really a big thanks to everyone for their efforts involved in that. So where we're at now is, as per the blue arrow, we had finalised our chapter's scores back to the international committee, and they will then now do the evaluation or deliberations and announce finalists as per this table on 30th by the end of the month, and then the final judging gets done. So we just maintain that. So as you note there, on the 19th of September, executive judges will score the videos, which are the submissions of the finalists, and then the announcement is made at the summit. It's from, you know, between the 27th of September to 8th of October. Next, if you don't mind, Eric. And big thanks to all our jurors this year. Great mix of people, great discussion. very time pressured. I think average take was about at least an hour per submission to evaluate some very technical submissions. Everyone basically, looked at 18 submissions each, so it was significant input from the Australasian chapter. We were the biggest chapter in terms of jurors this year, which was very pleasing to see, like I mentioned. A lot of really interesting work. So I think what was really grateful, I only looked at the technology section myself, but certainly the feedback I got from a lot of jurors was the level of improvement that they've observed over the last few years, and where we see things are happening in terms of IFC use, the technology, the developments in terms of software vendors, some really great things. I can't give away too much, but please make sure you try and attend the virtual summit to see the finalists. Some of them are really quite excellent in terms of what they submitted and what they've been doing. So next, please. So yeah, as I mentioned, 75 entries. Basically, next, please. So these are the categories, obviously: design, construction, asset management, handover, and facilities management, and then also research category, and then the technology solution. So really, really interesting mix. Here's a couple of listings just to give you guys a feel for the submissions that made it through into the final evaluation stage. A real mixed bag, a lot of European and a lot of Chinese, and a mixed bag of a good few Australasian entries. Next, please. And some interesting research submissions as well. Next, please. Technology was particularly interesting. I can certainly, personally being involved in the judging of that, was really impressed by the level of technology submissions this year. Next, please. So other BSI initiatives, we'll share these links after the presentation. The technical roadmap, normalization of IFC5. Please keep a lookout for that. Some exciting moves there. Use case management tool portal at that link, the buildingsmart.org. BSDD has been updated. I think everyone knows the Building Smart Data Dictionary. Please follow up there for updates on that. Documents API to standardized document exchange, OpenCD. I think a very exciting initiative that. If you'd like more details, please reach out to us and we can get you in touch with the appropriate people. Other initiatives, like mentioned there, BCF 3.0, the IFC4 precast, the spatial zone requirements, IFC JSON, and COBE 2.5, all requesting participation at that link. So please reach out if you can't find the link or would like more information on that. And as I think you may have noticed, this come out through social media, role of open BIM in airports. If there's anyone that's interested, I know there's a couple of players locally that have definitely got some work or some knowledge to contribute. So please, and I don't feel that we haven't got anything to contribute. It's really valuable to have anyone from a local standpoint to be involved in these international committees. Next, I think that's it, is it?
Yeah, thanks, Don. I'll hand over to Holger to go through certification and assessments. Thanks, Holger.
Thank you. Yes, I want to give you an update on our certification system. As you might know, BIMcreds. We had a number of professionals who have signed up for BIMcreds certification since our last buildingSMART Australia board members update. For those who don't know BIMcreds, BIMcreds is a system that is offering professionals in the AEC industry within Australasia a mechanism for demonstrating their BIM competence, and of course also for digital engineering. At the same time, it can also provide potential employers or project owners, clients with confidence in the skills of the professionals they hire. So it's a good tool to use for such things. Click once more, thank you. We're now working on the implementation of the professional certification, also known as PCert, developed by buildingSMART to qualify individuals against an international benchmark. Therefore, BIMcreds will transition to PCert over the next year to provide a more global benchmark for open BIM training and competence assurance. Professional certification, the foundation level, will be the first PCert certification that will be available. So learning outcomes from the international point of view have already been established, and we are now working on a 6 module, which will address the local requirements for the Australian region, so that it will have also those regional requirements, standards and guidelines covered. And that will include, of course, also the body of knowledge for potential training providers in Australia-Asia region, as well as a question database that reflects those regional requirements. The benefits for the AEC industry and, of course, individual professionals will be that they will have standardized courses. So depending on where they go, they will still have the same material that they will learn and know about. Also, it gives them a global recognition, since 5 out of 6 modules are based on an international benchmark. So this certification will be not just accepted within the Australia-Asian market, it can also be used on international projects. So people can actually demonstrate their skills and it will be recognized. And of course, it is a simple testing environment. It's all being online, so it also allows people to do such tests online during COVID environments. Hopefully, by the time we implement this, COVID is over, but just to make sure. So we're working on this. So this will be the first certification level that we will introduce to the Australia-Asian market. And then following this, depending on how the uptake will be, other levels will follow over the years.
Thanks, Holger. And then I'll hand back to Audrey to wrap it up with some of the other things around our community notice board and website.
Yeah, cool. So, guys, just bear with us on the website. There have been a couple of situations where I've logged in to update the notice board and the event board and things, and it's just kind of been under maintenance when they're in the back end just working on the new website. So just know that if you go to the website over the next few weeks, that will be happening. Don't forget to send us any, I know there's not much going on in person at the moment, but any kind of in-person things that are booked for the future, for next year, any types of webinars you might be running, any types of workshops. We're super happy to promote that type of stuff for all of our members. I think that's something that just from the admin end, I don't really see people utilizing very often, is our kind of mailing list and platform to get that information out to a broader audience. So just keep that in mind. And there's something else I wanted to discuss. I'm just trying to remember what it was. It'll come up in the Q&A, I'm sure.
So we don't have a lot of time, but I'm happy to field any questions from anyone. I'm glad we got through that in half an hour.
I think we did really well there, guys.
So any questions, either post them in the chat or put your hand up. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up.
Is there anything, so obviously we started doing these members updates and calls just per feedback from a lot of our corporates and individual members that you guys wanted to know more of what was going on behind the scenes with buildingSMART. Obviously, with it being an industry body, we're participating in a lot of things like the parliamentary inquiry and haven't necessarily always publicized those types of involvements. Now that a couple of you guys have sat through a couple of these updates and, you know, we've linked in BSI and things, does anyone have any feedback on other bits and bobs that you might want to know about, or how we can be making these sessions even better for you guys? Absolute crickets. It's perfect. Great. Amazing. Cool.
All right.
Well, yeah, feel free to always send that feedback through to me. Pretty much anyone who's a member has received an email from me at some stage. So you guys all have my contact information. If you don't feel comfortable saying anything in the chat or here, always I'm happy to get feedback on this stuff because these are new. So if you guys think that there's something we could be doing better, please just drop me a line and we can chat.
Okay, we'll wrap it up there. 1:31, 1 minute over. So thanks everybody, and thanks for your support for all the members out there, and look forward to the next update. Hopefully in person, but I doubt that. So stay safe, everyone. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.